crowd. I was going to start off with a joke, but I guess I'll skip the joke. We want the joke? I don't know if it's appropriate for this room. Well, thank you all for being here tonight. It's a special night, obviously, for our family to celebrate Walter. I want to thank the folks from the Propeller Club, Leo. Thank you to you and your team for hosting us tonight. It's a great night to be out. It's 60 degrees outside. It's not hot and humid. But also want to thank our friends from the U.S. Coast Guard. Thank you all for being here today and celebrating this special occasion. I'm Clark Todd, President and CEO at Blessey Marine Services, and I'm here to talk a little bit about Walter. He asked me earlier, was this going to be a roast? It could be, that's right. After a couple of thoughts, I prepared a very short and brief introduction about Walter, which is not a roast. You'll be happy to know that. Walter was born and raised right here in New Orleans, attending high school at St. Martin's Episcopal, earning his undergraduate degree and his graduate degree and his law degree from Tulane University. Yes, that's right. He started his family business about 45 years ago right here in New Orleans with the dream of always having a second generation family business. You know, Walter's credentials are many. I could stand up here. I know we want to get this program moving, but I will mention a couple of them that he's very proud of, really more recent honors that he has been awarded with. In 2013, Walter was awarded the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year for the Gulf States. Yeah, wow, it was pretty special. In 2018, he got a building named after him at Junior Achievement, the Walter E. Blessey Free Enterprise Center of Learning. And in 2019, Walter is also awarded with a Meritorious Public Service Award by the U.S. Coast Guard. It's the highest public service award that is given to a civilian by the U.S. Coast Guard. You know, Walter always likes to say it's a real honor to be given an award by the institution that regulates you on a daily basis. So, Walter, those are 3 of your special awards. There are many that I won't get into, but I know that Walter is very proud of this next award, or I say it's an award. He worked hard for it, but Walter's also the president of the Tulane student body back in 1995. Is that about right? little do people know, it was 1970, I believe, right? Is that correct? 69. But he beat out a future Speaker of the House. Most people don't realize that. So he beat out Newt Gingrich, is that correct? Back in 1969. So if Walter would have just run for public office, what would have happened? I don't know.
I had dinner with Newt 10 years ago. Governors, like the states. And I said, I was a politician before you were.
A successful politician.
Looked at me, and I said, "Do you vote for me for student vice president?" 69, 70. And he said, "I was in graduate school. I couldn't vote." I swear. And I said, I was in law school. Everybody voted for student vice president, and he didn't look at me, speak to me.
So there you go, a little history about Walter. Walter's traveled to the 4 corners of the earth numerous times over, but I will tell you his enthusiasm for life and his unmatched willingness to make an impact on others is what makes Walter so special. His impact on the maritime industry has not gone unnoticed as well. You know, over the last 45 years, Walter has been a stalwart for us, for our organization, for our family business, but also for the maritime industry. He's obviously lived a life of achievement, not just about the buildings that bear his name across the city or his father's name, but rather the impact he's made on so many people over the years. My mother once told me, your servant's towel needs to be larger than your ego. When I think about that statement, I think about the impacts a person can have in a lifetime. Walter is the epitome of that statement, and he certainly has impacted a lot of lives. There's no doubt that his legacy achievement has been fulfilled, and we're blessed to have Walter as a thriving member of our maritime community, our company, and certainly blessed to have him as the head figure of the barge and tugboat industry. Walter likes to say, surround yourself with great people and great things happen. Walter, you have certainly accomplished a lot. We are so proud of you, of all these achievements. On behalf of my family, our company, and all the folks here tonight, congratulations on the 2022 Maritime Person of the Year. The stage is now yours, Walter.
Wow. I want to say that my wife is a birthday today. I would like to acknowledge my family, the oldest to youngest. Lainey, married to Jason Watkins, right there. Will you raise your hand? And Laura, right next to her, married to Clark. And Elizabeth here, and Daniel. And so between Jane Ann and I, we have 5 daughters. Every 3 years, we have a daughter. So, I don't know. So it's been an interesting road. We married 22 years in January, and I think we're gonna make it. I'll tell you some stories of my life, and I want you to know high school and college made a big influence on me. In high school, I wanted to be Gary Player. You know who Gary Player is? He won all the 4 majors, and he's my size, unlike Nicholas. And so I wanted to be a great player. And my junior year, I went JYA, junior abroad, to Edinburgh, and I was given up my dream to be a great golfer. In high school, I won maybe 8 or 9 tournaments. At this Metro Country Club, we used to have a Lambert, and it was the city high school medal play. And I won it my junior year and my senior year. And I won the JC and all that stuff, so I was used to being successful. And then I went to college, and I was Tau Beta Pi Honor Society. I was ODK Leadership Society. I was student vice president, as Clark said, and Newt didn't vote for me. And I was pretty successful, and I want to tell you, I went to Edinburgh, and I was in engineering school, and I was amazed how the teacher, we had no books. The teacher wrote the lesson on the board, and 100 people copied it. And I said to myself, this is crazy. I'll just buy it. We had final exams, that's all. This is in October, early October, and the exams are in June. And I said to myself, I'll go buy the books and finish them by June and take the exams. And I went around Europe on $5 a day back then. $5 a day. And I finished all the books and took the exams, did fine. And I think that lasted with me for life. And I'll tell you, when I went to the first job, I got offers from McDermott, Drobo, Bechtel, and Middle South Energy. Now, and I didn't want to be an engineer. I was too introverted for me, even though my father was head of civil engineering in Tulane and a consultant engineer as well. He should have been a businessman, and I would be on Easy Street then, because he was a pioneer in skin friction piles, pre-stressed concrete, and he didn't think of how to make a business and how to make money out of that. And so anyway, I was good at engineering, and I was in the middle of the class in law school. And so my first job was at Middle South Energy then. And I was miserable. I got the vice president's car, picked it up at the dealership to service, and I don't know why they hired me. I had no assignments, nothing, and the chairman, Floyd Lewis, occasionally asked me to write a legal opinion of him, what they're doing, and I was miserable, and everybody was a mister. The big shots were misters, and they were not approachable. One vice president, I saw this recently, he speed walked to the bathroom down the hall to show his dedication to the company. And he speed walked back, and we would time him. He's a new record, it's a new record. And I wanted to quit. And my father said, you don't quit until you have a job. Good advice. And then something happened. If this wouldn't have happened, that wouldn't have happened. If that wouldn't have happened, something else. And I look back on my life, and at least I had the courage to do something. And I was making $12,000 a year. And the federal government made it illegal to burn gas in a boiler. So the four-state system had to buy oil. And no one knew how to buy oil and transport it. So they interviewed a couple of Exxon, Shell, those majors, people, and they wanted $60,000 a year. And that was a no at Middle South. And so they formed a company with a 60-year-old guy. He'd been with LP&L for 40 years. He was making $33,000 a year. And his secretary and me. 3 people. And he was more interested in being entertained for dinner, lunch. And so I got to teach myself transportation and oil. And then the next event happened that the federal government made it price controls. And you couldn't buy oil in the States. They didn't want to sell it. So I had to buy 1 million barrels, 42 million gallons, in Rotterdam in tank. And then I was talking to a lot of people and learned Ed Chotan, Ed O'Donnell at Chotan really took me under his wing and taught me marine transportation. And Pete Hanbury at Exxon reached out to me to answer me questions on oil. And so I called, I heard that Koch brothers had 2 Oil, which we had in Rotterdam, and didn't want to sell it. And I called them and said, let's do a swap. The world price is $1 a gallon. Your price, controlled price, is 30 cents a gallon. That's 70 cents a gallon. Split it with my company and your company. And I'll swap the oil to Rotterdam. You can sell it at the world price and send me a check for 35 cents a gallon times 42 million gallons. That's like $13 million. And they said, no. And I said, I'll find somebody else. And they called me back a couple of days later and said, we want to do the deal. So we swapped it. My head was up north, and I swapped it. They had Union 76 had a refinery up there and had one in Port Arthur. And I swapped it for 5 cents a gallon to Port Arthur. So we have the barges right there. It's just so simple. And so we got another check for $2 million plus. And do you know that I didn't get an attaboy? I didn't get, great Walter. I didn't get squat. And I may be the president of our subsidiary privately took credit for it, for the board or whatever, I don't know. But he didn't say a word. And I got a raise that year from $12,000 a year to $12,800. I was just so miserable. And how will I ever own a house? How will I support a family? And Laney was born then in '76. And we had a contract for storage at a local terminal. I'll not say their names. And I said, put the bug in their ear, do you want to have a trading company with all these tanks? And they came back to me a couple of days later and said, you want to start one? And I said, let me think about it. I didn't have to think about it. I gave them a written proposal where, in essence, I was making 11% of what I made, and they were making 89%. And the first year, my 11% was several $100 million. And I was euphoric. The second year, I made several $100,000, and they making 9 times that. In the third year, same thing. In the fourth year, they pumped oil to another tank, stole oil from me. And I sent an invoice to them, and they were supposed to use oil at our cost, and of course they stole it. And I smell it, and they were making 9 times I was making personally, and they didn't know what I did. In the year 5, they called me in June and said, you've made so much money personally that we want you, this is not kidding, we want you to work for free for the next 6 months. Free. And then we're going to pay you a flat salary of $60,000 a year and no percentage. So I walked. Started from my home on Farnham Place. I bought the house on Farnham Place and 12 Farnham Place, and my mother said, you can't afford that? I said, Mother, I'm paying cash for it. Yeah. So the president and secretary at Utility asked me to come with her with me. And so the trading company, she came, and I said, Carol, I'll get an office in a couple of weeks, and I'll hire you over here. So for the first 10 years, it was just us, me and her. And I look back on it when I went around Europe and Africa with books, and that was the foundation of my business life, because I could take a gamble. I could, a great journey. And, you know, the government in 85-ish roughly said you can burn gas in a boiler. And so the oil companies customers that I cultivated didn't need oil anymore. But I learned the marine business, and Bill McNeil was a great teacher for me, and he was my consultant, and here we are today. with roughly 85 boats and 175 barges. And how did this happen? I don't know. It's just like one step at a time. And I learned how to treat people at the company, at my company, with respect. We know misters. My wife takes them, the ladies, to events like, Neil. Yeah. And he takes them on trips, and she cooks for them. I can't cook. I can open a can, but I can't cook. And so, I don't know. I look back on it like, my God, 12-8, and I did a great job for them, and they didn't acknowledge me. They didn't say attaboy. So, yeah, thank goodness. And thank goodness of the terminal company. They shut the doors a couple of weeks after I left because it's all up here. It was all up here. And so they have avoided me to the other side of the room if we're at an event. And I have no regret. Thank God they did it. Thank God they were so greedy that they were making 9 times that. So, anyway, I guess that's all I can say. If any questions, I'm available. And how did this happen?
We'd like to present you this award so you can remember this day, and hopefully in the future you will think about great honors.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now I can have wine.
I want to thank y'all for coming out, especially thank all of our sponsors who make this happen, and all the people at Propeller Club. And hope you join us in future events. And if you're not a member of the club, we'd love to have you. We have a lot of things going on, but tonight is your night, Walter. And thank you so much for sharing your. It's a life story. It's summed up like that. I mean, that's fascinating. It really is. And if nobody has any questions, we'll call this the end of the evening. Thank you all so much.
Look forward to it.